Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs and today I have this whimsical butterfly birthday card to share with you. So let's jump right in. So as usual, I do like to cut down my cardstock so that I know what I'm working with, and this will be an A2 sized card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And for my layers, I like to cut my black mat to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, and then I like my top panel to be about 1/4 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. So that kind of gives me thin borders all the way around. I love this look. If you guys have been with my channel for a while, you know this. But I mean, any way you want to do the layers totally works. This is just kind of my preferred way to do it. And then I'm going to heat emboss the background. This is the Simon Says Stamp Concentric Doodle background stamp. I love it for its like whimsicalness. I know that's probably not a word, but it's just a really fun background element. And I'm usually drawn, if you guys have been with me for a while, you know that I love odd background textures and images and whatnot. And this kind of falls into that. And I don't use it as often as I should because I get, stuck on different ideas, especially when new stuff comes out. But I am a big believer in going back and using things that you own. And this has been in my stash for quite a while now. And such a fun background image. So I just chose to gold heat emboss that on a piece of HammerMill cardstock. HammerMill is pretty much my go-to cardstock. It's 100 pounds and you can ink blend on it and you can use Copic markers on it, and it's not terribly expensive. So it is kind of my main go-to cardstock for panels. I mean, Nina Solar Crust Classic Crest is also a great option. I just find as a Canadian, it's kind of expensive to purchase. So I tend towards the HammerMill, but any white cardstock base would work for this. And then I'm going to heat set it. And I have to admit that it doesn't matter how many times I gold emboss something, any of the metallics actually, although I tend to be more drawn to gold, but any of the metallics, watching them melt is probably one of the most magical things in crafting. I have to admit that this has to be one of my favorite things to just watch happen. I don't know if you can really tell there. I try to tip it in the light so you can see where the gold reflects, but as long as it's shiny, it is completely melted. If there's any dull areas, then it's not melted and you need to heat emboss it more before you go and blend over top of it like I'm going to do here. So for my 3 colors, I tried to actually choose colors that I hadn't really used before. Saltwater Taffy, I don't reach for as a general rule. I tend towards picked raspberry or kitsch flamingo as my pinks. So I thought I'd bring in Saltwater Taffy just for fun because it sounded like a good idea. Scattered Straw as well is not the yellow I normally reach for. I usually go for either Scattered Straw again. I usually go for Squeezed Lemonade for my yellows. Or alternatively, I would have brought in an orange. So I kind of tried to pick a different one. And then Seedless Preserves. Purples are my favorite. So you guys know that I have a tendency towards all of the purples, though Wilted Violet is the one I choose the most. So any of those options for this would work. I just chose a color palette that I don't normally reach towards in those tones. So I thought that these kind of blended beautifully together and were a lot of fun. And yes, the Oxide will cover up the ink blending or the embossing. That does not matter. You can easily just wipe it off as I'm doing here with a piece of dry paper towel, and then your gold embossing is back and beautiful again. I just did it this way because I like when I blend over top and the color gets in all those little nooks and crannies that the embossing powder may have missed or that I didn't stamp perfectly. So I like kind of to blend over top of the embossing, but you easily could have blended this and then embossed it. There's no right or wrong way for this. This is just the way I like to do it, so that's how I've done it. But any way you want to do will work. And then for my sentiment, I brought in the large fancy happy birthday die. This is from Simon Says Stamp as well. And I just ran it through my Switch Plus 4 times because I want to layer it to give it some depth. Now, had I been thinking before I got to the end of this card, because you guys will see here when I pivot at the very end, I would have actually cut the top layer out of some white glitter cardstock just to give it a little bit something extra, because I found the very white sentiment to be a little bit boring in this kind of whimsical card. So had I thought that I wanted to go that direction at this point, I would have done that, but I didn't. So I'll show you how I fix that when I get to that stage of this card. But at this point, I thought that I just wanted a very white on white sentiment. So that's the direction I'm going to go. So as I said, I cut it out 4 times. This is the same HammerMill cardstock just because I like HammerMill it's just my favorite cardstock for white cardstock. Because as I said, all of the reasons I gave you guys before. And like I said, Neenah sadly is very pricey. I do have some. I have the 110 that comes in the Simon kits sometimes. And I have some 80 because I like to use it for, in envelopes if I want to decorate them, so because it's not very thick. But I find it just to be kind of pricey. So if you're Canadian and you're looking for a great white cardstock, check out the HammerMill and tell me what your thoughts are. You can actually buy HammerMill from Simon as well. I don't believe Scrapbook sells it, but I know Simon does. And then of course I know you can get it on Amazon. I have that linked and listed down below if you're ever interested, as is everything that I use in all of my videos. And if you shop my affiliate links, thank you very much. You are helping me make this something I can do, quite often, because it gives me a little bit of compensation. If you shop the affiliate links, I get a small commission at no extra charge, and that just because that's me sending someone to the website, right? So I do get a little bit of a commission. So I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Especially if you're just going to shop anyway. Go and use one of your favorite YouTubers' links just because it helps them out. And then I had this piece of gold vellum. This I've had in my stash forever. I don't even know if you can get it. I don't know if I'll be able to link to this because I don't know if you'll be able to get it. This one that I have is from American Crafts, and I think I bought it in a crafty store when it was going out of business. So I will see what I can find to link to, but that's who I have it from. And I just cut out those flickering butterflies, which are also from Simon, because I thought that they would just be super pretty across this card. And that's kind of where the whimsical really comes in. I mean, the whole card design is very whimsical with that kind of odd background that's, a fun shape and this fancy birthday die and whatnot. The butterflies really cap it off for me, I think. So I layered up my happy birthday just with some liquid glue, and this does cut out in 2 parts as you guys saw when I cut it, so it's pretty easy to line up the letters, though honestly they're not perfect and I'm perfectly okay with that. This is handmade, not Hallmark, as Jennifer McGuire says, so I mean, as long as it makes me smile at the end, that's pretty much all I was aiming for, and I hope that whoever receives it also smiles. I don't always make my cards with someone in mind, especially not birthday cards, just because I generally need a lot of them on hand. And I do have friends that come over and go through my stash and pick out cards to give to people. So I never know exactly who something's going to be for. So it's kind of more, I get an idea and then I sit down and make it and see where it goes. And sometimes it's exactly what I see in my head, and sometimes it's nowhere near what I saw in my head. So it's always kind of interesting that way. But I am going to layer everything up, and as I am doing that, I'm going to bring in my Nuvo Deluxe liquid glue. I prefer liquid glue. I know I prefer some glue. I know that some people prefer tape runners and that kind of thing. I find personally, I struggle to line things up when I use tape runners. I know it's probably a practice thing, as is everything, but I just find it easier for me personally to just use liquid glue and then just kind of have that few seconds to shift everything until I'm happy with where it's all sitting. So that is my preference, but I mean, there's no wrong or right in this. Like it's crafting. There's no police that are going to come by and tell you did it wrong. There may be knuckleheads on, comments that might tell you things like that, but nobody actually should be running around saying that to anybody. But, people are people and everybody has an opinion, so that's okay. But there is no wrong way to do this. So tape runner, foam tape, liquid glue, whatever you want to use, by all means use it, because use the stuff you own. You guys know I am a huge believer of using what you own, especially when you've put money in. Like stamp sets and die sets especially, are not cheap, so use them several times. This flickering butterflies die I have now used, I can't even tell you how many times, because it's just such a fun embellishment. So if you have a die that you love, use it over and over again. Like it's just, kind of a fun way to just reuse things that you've spent your hard-earned dollars on. So make sure that you use it and show it all the love that you can, because, Stuff ain't cheap. Although I do understand getting sucked into the whole like new thing. I'm so bad. I was like, I'm not going to buy all these Vault series dies from Tim Holtz. And then I did. So far I have 3 of them. I think I only bought 3 so far. You guys wait. I'm sure I did buy, yep. I got the rosettes, the pillow box and bag, and the wildflowers. But out of fairness, I didn't own any of the wildflowers from before this. So they are new to me, as I did not own either the pillow box or the Vault. Not the rosettes, sorry. Not that you shouldn't purchase them if you want to. I just, I tell myself, like, use the stuff that you have. Don't get sucked into wanting to buy all the new stuff. And then they come out with these great things. And then I go and watch the live that Tim Holtz does. And I'm like, okay, I needs it all. I needs it all. So right now I'm waiting on the wreath. I did also purchase the wreath. I'm just waiting for it to show up, because I'm incredibly excited to see what else Tim Holtz did, because he announced in his live that the wreath that he did for the Vault series will also be coming out with a Halloween edition and a Christmas edition. So to put the 3 together, I'm just really excited to see what he did there. So I did have to pick up the wreath, but yeah, you guys will see those. They'll come up sooner than later, I'm sure. I just, have to find all the time to create all the things. So I try really hard not to be a collector, like where you just buy stuff to buy stuff, not use stuff. So I do try to have ideas for the things that I purchase so that I can sit down and make things with what I've purchased. But it is hard not to just want to shop when all these companies are coming out with these just stunning collections. Like Honeybee just released a new collection as well, and I am just really excited by some of the things that came out in that. But anyway, I adhered all of my butterflies down onto my happy birthday there. And this is where I chose to add clear glitter. So I added this clear glitter. This is just the Spectrum Noir clear glitter pen. And I went over all of my white letters just to give it a little bit of shimmer and shine, just to add a little bit of something extra. It just felt too plain for me. And as a more is more style creator, I do tend to go a little bit overboard with all the things. But honestly, on this kind of a card that it's already fairly whimsical, I don't feel bad. I love how this card turned out. I don't think the camera ends up doing it justice, but I love how this card came out. And that extra butterfly, because the butterfly die does cut 8 butterflies, I actually just adhered on the inside of the card. So that 8th butterfly didn't go to waste. It's just on the inside. And then I placed 7 across the front and made sure all the wings were sticking up. And I am going to pair this with a gold metallic envelope, just because I thought that would be really pretty. A black metallic envelope would look really good too, actually. But I did pair it with a gold one. So I haven't given it to anybody yet, so I could change my mind and put it with a black metallic. I love the metallic envelopes from Simon. They are just really, really pretty. I am kind of drawn to them. I wish that envelopes were a little less expensive though, just because as a general rule, people like get them and then toss them in the garbage. But I want my envelopes to match. So I'm kind of, I don't know. Envelopes are just kind of a funny situation. But that is the card I created for you guys today. I hope you didn't mind this rambly voiceover. So let me know what your thoughts are. Tell me what you think. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. And I think I have some cool announcements coming up in March. So check that out. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye for now.